Howdy, y'all. My name is Scott. I'm the author of Rivet Stone, and I may be just some author, but let me tell you, there was an interesting conversation going on the writing subreddit and yeah, Reddit. I know, right? But listen, work with me here. And it was discussing how do we make filler more interesting. Now, filler's a really a very particular term in particular industries. There's filler episodes in TV shows. There's filler songs within an album in order to sort of pad its length. But filler in of itself isn't really talked about that much in writing, and there's a good reason for it. There should be no filler. Like what? Like asking the question of like, hey, I have this sort of middling couple of like second act and I just don't know what to do and it's kind of mundane and I just want to I already did all the interesting stuff at the beginning to set up the world and I'm just trying to race towards the climax and now I just kind of have all this stuff that happens and how do I make it more interesting? And that's a legitimate question. I think a lot of writers struggle with the like 80% of the book that's not the beginning and not the end, because we all get super excited about these new worlds and world building and characters, and we already see the climax in our end. A lot of the times we're just like, we just want to get to the exciting part, like let's just go. And then it's like, okay, well, we actually need to write the book. So oftentimes these other sort of middle chapters can have the propensity of having at least filler. But in terms of the media of writing, really at the end of the day, you shouldn't be asking, how do I make this filler more interesting? But more of like, why do you have filler in a book? You don't, it's a completely different medium. And rather of thinking of, I have all these mundane things, I have all this boring stuff, what do I do to elevate it? Maybe it's just better to completely cut it. Perhaps maybe the story or the narrative that you've written out or bulleted pointed out just doesn't have enough meat. Maybe you need to sort of reimagine the narrative. Or maybe this is more of a novella or a short story. Perhaps if you sort of just condensed it down into, like a one chapter, short story, then maybe that would actually flow better. So if you're looking at your manuscript and you're just like, man, there's a lot of filler in here. What am I supposed to do with it? Honestly, dude, just delete it. And deleting your work is sometimes the best and sometimes the worst feeling. So listen, I can relate, we all can relate, but just remember, if you feel like you're just kind of spinning your wheels and there's just a bunch of uninteresting things in your book, then that's just a bunch of uninteresting things in your book. It's probably best to just remove it and try again. But, hopefully that helps. Go ahead, give me a like, give me a sub, and let's get published.